I'm Justin Caffrey, and you can find out more about me at justincaffrey.com, or please subscribe to my YouTube channel, also under Justin Caffrey. I'm here to try and help you with some ideas and musings around things that I do in my life to help myself lead a happier, healthier life, to have a happier, healthy mind, body and soul. And today I want to focus on a really key area, and that's communication. Communication in our relationships. That's our personal relationships, our business relationships, our work relationships. It's not just about a relationship in the context of the singular, it's the whole connection within our lives. But fundamentally, the most important thing is to have a happy, healthy relationship at home and in work. Because guess what? That's where we spend 80% of all of our time. So I want to talk to you about the power of listening, the right way to communicate, and what I do to maintain a happy, healthy marriage and home life. So starting with my own personal relationship, the relationship that I have with my wife, Beatrice. It's a really deep and profound relationship. It's a relationship that has lasted the test of time. We're nearly married 15 years. She has tolerated an awful lot from me. And we have been through huge challenges during that period of time. Most notably, we spent a year caring for a terminally ill child. That was a very challenging period in our life. And statistically, when you get into a situation like that, most marriages fail. Because life is stressful enough already, but when you throw in a whole new ball of stress at a significant magnitude, it really changes the dynamic. And how we managed to do that was to maintain balance and to maintain teamwork. We were also caring for a 3-year-old at the same time, and we were stuck in a foreign country for a year. So what did we do? We made sure that when one of us was up, the other one was able to take some time down, and vice versa. And I can remember times when I was struggling and I was upset and I was crying in the morning, or she was crying in the morning. The other person knew, I have to stay high, I have to stay positive, and I have to stay focused. That's teamwork. And then in a business sense, so whether it's in work, whether it's your business, whether you have employees or fellow directors, you need to think about communication. Because it's critical. Maintaining a sensible level of communication and not bottling things up is so important. A lot of the times, relationships in the business context collapse because one party is not being honest with the other. They may feel stressed or frustrated or angry or jealous, and they suppress those emotions. They hold them down inside and they think, I can probably get on with it. I'm sure I'm going to be okay. I'll be able to just push through this and it won't really be too much of a difficulty. The reality is you can't hide from those emotions. What we suppress and we try and retain inside us, eventually it's going to come out. And if we leave it till later, it comes out in the form of anger, resentment, and an argument. So it's important to check in with your business partner. It's important to check in with your employees. It's important to check in with your management team. Make sure there's a space in your month, or probably even better, your week, where you connect with those people that you work directly with, and you check in to see, how are you getting on? What's going on? What's impacting your day? And how can I help? Communication and work is so important. Get your policies built around it. And what's interesting is emotions. And what we do or don't do with them is a challenge. The Eastern approach to emotions is very interesting. They take a view that emotions are energy in motion. Emotion, energy in motion. And with all energy or motion, it's moving. It needs to go somewhere. And what we do in the West is we say, well, it's energy in motion, but I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to come to terms with it right now. So I'm going to get it and I'm going to suppress it inside my body and lock it away. And then the next thing comes along and I suppress and lock away. And the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. So guess what? When people have nervous breakdowns, quite simply, they have suppressed way too many emotions. So what we need to do is to give those emotions an opportunity to come out, to be able to display how we feel and what's going on inside us. So don't suppress your emotions. Make sure that your communication is open and verbal. You're listening, but you're also able to articulate how you feel and get that across to the other party. Okay, and here's the big one. How do you create a happy, successful communication policy at home? It sounds like something we should be building in our businesses, and if you don't have one, you need to work on it. But at home, we need to do exactly the same thing. If I don't have a time or a space where I check in with myself, which for me is my meditation every day, how do I really come to terms with my emotions, how I feel as a human being, and how I'm connected to myself? And equally, when it comes to my relationship with my wife, Beatrice, or my son, Luca, how do I possibly know how to check in with them unless there's a time and a space in which we go and we have that conversation, we speak to each other? Now, you may have a very fluid relationship in your home, and there may be an open line of communication that's always going on. But that's unusual. More often than not, we don't create the space to have those honest conversations. And somebody asked me recently, well, we have our date night. You know, we're out every 2 weeks or once a month. We go and we have a nice dinner, we share a couple of bottles of wine, and we talk about stuff then. But if you really think about your date night in the context of what you do, generally you're in a conversation based on the restaurant, the food, the wine that you're drinking, something that's going on during that week. It's very unlikely that you're going to check in with each other about how you feel, because there's other people around you. So your date night needs to be for date night. And your communication time needs to be an hour that you devote possibly once a month or maybe once every 2 weeks, depending on where your relationship is at, where you agree to sit down together and share a discussion. And within that conversation, you're turning up to listen and then to say your piece. But it's really a checking in. So imagine, if you will, that you're working on the basis of sharing a podcast. You're interviewing each other on your own little podcast. And you're simply asking your partner, how are you doing? How do you feel at the moment? Is there anything that I can do to help you? And by having those open questions and interviewing each other in that way, then you start to share a dialogue. And doing it in an environment that is your kitchen, where you can sit down, like in our kitchen, and this is where we talk a lot, or your living room, but it's not outside, it's not social, and it's not something that's going to make you feel conscious. So create your own policy at home, your own communication policy, how you speak to your partner, and then develop something similar for your kids. Give it a go and share it with me. Let me know how you get on. But then put it into practice and set times around it in the month. That's critical. Get the policy, set the time, implement it, and go for it. I promise you it will be really helpful in your relationship. So critical in the context of communication is listening. 2 ears, 1 mouth. I'm sure you heard that before. It's important to make sure that when you sit down and you're going to communicate, whether it's in business or in your marriage or in your relationship, that there's an opportunity to make sure that the person who is speaking is heard and the other person is not speaking over them. So sometimes it's helpful to use a tool to allow one person to speak and the other one to listen. So at the start, when you're developing your policy, you might want to have a pen that when it's handed to the person who's speaking, they have the floor and the other person has to listen. And when they've finished, the pen swaps over and it's handed over. And if you're going to have an hour, which is your check-in time with each other, your podcast, as we referred to earlier on, within that hour, you can set it so that half an hour is for you to speak and half an hour is for me to speak. Finally, thank you for watching my video. I hope you found some of my content helpful. There's more available on my YouTube channel, but please also subscribe to my website, justincaffrey.com. When you go onto justincaffrey.com, you'll find an option to join my mailing list. Do so and I will share content with you on a regular basis. There's also blogs and lots of information around how I help people in a business and personal capacity. And if it's valuable to you, please share it. So please share this content. Fire it out to your friends. I would appreciate it so much. The more people who get this message, the more people we're helping. And that's my mission. I want my social media site to be here just to help people that I don't have time or an ability to spend with them on a one-to-one basis. So please, thank you for sharing. Thank you for watching. Thanks very much. Bye.